Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about a foster care caseworker. Now, a caseworker is a type of social worker who is employed by a government agency or a nonprofit organization or some other group that takes on cases of individuals and families and provides them with advocacy, information, or other types of services. So work environment for these types of jobs can vary, whether you're working for a state-owned government, which will be bigger, or a private organization, which would be a smaller organization. So it can vary. As far as typical work hours, it's usually a normal work week, depending on your caseload. You're usually required to maintain a certain amount of cases, but it's about 40-hour weeks, though you do have to be available 24/7 for in case of emergencies, crises, those kind of things that are going on with families within your cases. So the average caseload is about 10 active children and 2 inactive children, ones that have already been taken care of, but you keep tabs on them for like up to a year, I believe. So personal independence, again, as long as you are maintaining these cases and working on them, you're pretty flexible. So you'll be out and about taking care of families and going to trials and coordinating meetings. So you're not always in the office, but you are checking in with a supervisor on a regular basis to say where your time was spent and how your cases are being handled. Flexibility, again, it depends on your case workload, and again, you have to be available 24/7 in case of emergencies. So typical stressors, obviously there's going to be travel included in this job, and being available 24/7 can be difficult. And obviously you're working in a more hostile environment than you would as an educator or other type of family services job. You deal with mental illness and abuse and addiction and those kinds of things, and this can definitely be stressful and wearing on a caseworker. So typical benefits, it varies from state to state. A lot of the government jobs, state jobs, have standard state benefits, and these are actually pretty good depending on the state, compared to, especially if you're working for a smaller nonprofit organization where they won't have as many benefits, obviously being nonprofit. They work off grants usually. So some have really great benefits, some had basically no benefits. So common job tasks, you're going to establish contact with children, parents, and foster parents. You meet face-to-face with families that you're working with, usually twice a month. You document all your contact with the family. You're meeting with your supervisor consistently. You're completing reports, and it's a lot of paperwork of managing and filing the casework and making sure everything is recorded. A lot of this is for the legal documentation that you're going to put together, because a lot of times you'll present in trial what you've seen, what you've experienced, to decide whether, custody issues and that kind of thing. You work with families to put together action plans as far as maintaining safety or rehab if necessary, those kinds of things. You'll facilitate group meetings with parents and foster parents, maintain files, as I said, and handle crises or emergencies to the best of your ability. So educational requirements. So I want to clarify here, in some cases, I found that a caseworker is different from a social worker. So a caseworker, when in a job listing, will not require as much education as a social worker. So a social worker usually requires a master's in social work and usually some sort of certification, whereas a caseworker usually can get away with just a bachelor's degree, and they're more flexible about what it's in. It can be in social work or family sciences or marriage and family studies. Those kinds of things are more widely accepted if you're applying to a caseworker specific job. So I kind of focus more on the caseworker job. So with a caseworker job, again, you have the bachelor's degree, and then you take about 20 to 60 days, depending on where you're getting the job, of training to prepare you. So your starting salary range as a caseworker is $32,000, and if you're experienced, you will probably make around $57,000. Again, if you're a social worker, you'll make more. So that is what a foster care caseworker is.